All right, what's up? Rich Van Tassel with you, giving you the part two of the recap for week three of the NFL. We got two more of the earlier games that we didn't get to in the first one. The Denver Broncos went on the road, defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 29-17. Trevor Siemian, boy, is he looking good. 23 of 35, 312 yards, four touchdowns, no interceptions. Rushing, this is for the Denver Broncos. C.J. Anderson, 14 of 37. Devontae Booker, 4 of 8. Trevor Siemian, 3 of 5. Altogether, 23 of 52, which is only 2.3 yards per rush. The offense finally opening up for the Denver Broncos in the passing game. Emmanuel Sanders, 9 for 117. Two touchdowns. Demaryius Thomas, 6 for 100. He had a touchdown. Jeff Kierman, 1 for 29. Altogether, 9 receivers caught a pass. Shiloh Keogh recovered a fumble. Demaryius Thomas lost the fumble. Shane Ray had 3 sacks. Good to see him finally getting it together. Von Miller had 1. The team had 4 total. Willie Parks had an interception. Cody Latimer, 3 kick returns for 83 yards, longest of 46, so he was pretty consistent all the way around. It's not like he had one enormous one. Brandon McManus made his only field goal for the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton, 21 of 31, 206 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Jeremy Hill, 17 of 97, 5.7, 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton, 6 for 40. This is rushing. Altogether, 29 of 143, 4.9 yards per rush. The 2 touchdowns by Jeremy Hill. A.J. Green, fairly pedestrian by his standards. 8 receptions, 77 yards. Carlos Dansby recovered a fumble. Adam Jones lost a fumble. The Bengals had 2 sacks. One by Carlos Dunlap. And Mike Nugent made his only field goal. So the Broncos, if their offense starts coming along with the way that defense has been playing, the defense has been as advertised this entire part of the season. They're getting sacks. Von Miller's been good. Now if Shane Ray comes along, I think that the injury of DeMarcus Ware may have opened things up for him a little bit more to allow him to get some time. But certainly if they're going to continue to get pressure on the quarterback the way they have, then they should be in good shape this season. And if Trevor Siemian continues to come along, then we'll have to keep an eye on the Broncos. I didn't have them in the playoffs because I didn't think Siemian would be playing this well, but with that defense, you don't need much. The Minnesota Vikings, I predicted the Vikings would go on the road and get the win. They won 22-10 over the Carolina Panthers. Vikings moving to 3-0. Carolina, the defending NFC champions, are 1-2. Sam Bradford, 18 of 28, 171 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. This is for the Vikings. Jerick McKinnon, 16 carries, 45 yards. Matt Asiata, 6 for 15. Altogether, the team 24 to 58, 2.4 yards per rush. They're really struggling to run the ball, which is why I'm surprised they're 3-0 without Teddy Bridgewater. Kyle Rudolph, 7 for 70 in the receiving game, 1 touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 4 for 40. Harrison Smith recovered a fumble. Tom Johnson fumbled. It was not lost. Harrison Smith and Anthony Barr had sacks. The team, Everson Griffin had 3 sacks. The team altogether had 8 sacks. So that you don't see that with Cam Newton that much. He's a tough guy to bring down, and he's a mobile quarterback. So hats off to the Vikings there. Tom Johnson, Terrence Newman, Trey Waynes all had interceptions. And Blair Walsh was 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton, 21 of 35, 262 yards. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Rough start to the season for Cam Newton. Derek Anderson came in and threw a pass, completed it for 3 yards. Cameron Ortis-Payne, 12 carries, 47 yards. That's just under 4 yards per carry. Cam Newton, 7 for 26. He did have a rushing touchdown. Fozzie Whitaker, 5 for 22. The team 28 for 105, 3.8 yards per rush. If they're not able to run the ball, and we discussed that without them having Jonathan Stewart, and their passing game is committing turnovers the way they are, then Carolina is going to lose games like they did today. Greg Olsen, the top receiver, 6 receptions, 64 yards. Ted Ginn Jr., 3 for 62. Corey Brown, 4 for 57. Thomas Davis had a sack. LeVar Edwards had a sack. No interceptions. Ted Ginn, 2 kick returns for 44 yards, an average of 22 yards per return. Graham Gano, 1 for 2 in his field goals. So the Vikings, Sam Bradford, that is, was not great in this game, but certainly efficient. And their defense is playing just outstanding football this season. I think Carolina was sloppy. They've been sloppy thus far most of the season. Really just a strong second half against the 49ers is what has them with an only win. But very surprising for this team right now, and they're going to have to figure things out and start moving forward. of the late games, the Seattle Seahawks handed it to the 49ers today, 37-18. For the 49ers, Blaine Gabbert, 14 of 25, 119 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. Carlos Hyde, certainly solid, 21 carries, 103 yards, 4.9 yards per rush, two touchdowns. Blaine Gabbert, 5 for 22. Sean Drone, 5 for 10, 31 of 135, 4.4 yards per rush, two touchdowns. They were down 24-3 at halftime and they still run the ball 31 times. It just shows how stubborn Chip Kelly is. Torrey Smith, 3 receptions, 35 yards. Grant Selleck, 3 for 25. Jeremy Curley, 2 for 24. Jeremy Curley fumbled. It was not lost. Gerald Hodges recovered a fumble. Only 2 sacks for the 49ers by Mom Brooks and Glenn Dorsey. Nick Belfort had an interception. And Phil Dawson was 1 for 2 in his field goals. For the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson, 15 of 23, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Trevor Boykin, the rookie, came in and got time. 7 of 9, 65 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Christian Michael carried the load today with the injuries to the running backs. 20 carries, 106. Thomas Rawls was out. 2 touchdowns. That's a 5.3 yards per carry for Christian Michaels. Terrence Magee, 3 for 12. Alex Collins, 4 for 12. Altogether, the team 31 rushes, 127 yards, 4.1 yards per rush, and the 2 touchdowns by Christian Michael. Doug Baldwin, a monster in the receiving game, 8 for 164, 1 touchdown. Jimmy Graham, could this be the game where he finally breaks through? 6 receptions for 100 yards. He also had a touchdown. Jimmy Graham also fumbled and lost the fumble. No sacks, surprisingly, for the Seattle Seahawks. Bobby Wagner had an interception. Stephen Hausch was 3 for 3 in his field goal. So, the San Francisco 49ers ran into a team that I figured Seattle was going to win. They were rusty the way they came out in the season, but they decided that this was going to be the game they were going to wake up in. And their offense certainly came to life. Doug Baldwin in the receiving game. So, very impressive in that regard, the way that Seattle was able to figure things out and get their offense rolling, and let's see if they can take advantage of what is certainly a wide open division with the way the Arizona Cardinals are struggling and the St. Louis Rams. That game is actually in a delay. I'm not sure. Los Angeles Rams. That game is in a delay. I'm not sure what is going on there. All right. The Indianapolis Colts getting a win, basically as I predicted it would happen. They won the game late on a big touchdown against a game Chargers team, but we talked about the problems I felt there could be with the Indianapolis Colts, but they showed professionalism and got the win. For the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, 26 of 39, 330 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Melvin Gordon, 16 rushes for 35 yards. He did have a touchdown. Altogether, the team was 17 rushes for 37 yards, which is only 2.2 yards per rush. Not going to get the job done. Travis Benjamin, 4 receptions, 82 yards. Hunter Henry, 5 receptions, 76 yards. Tyrell Williams, 6 for 69. Melvin Gordon, 4 for 43. 6 receivers caught more than 1 pass for the San Diego Chargers. Jason Verrett and Kieran Reed recovered fumbles. Travis Benjamin fumbled twice, lost one of them. Phillip Rivers and Hunter Henry also lost fumbles, and one of them came at the end of the game. 2 sacks for the Chargers. Casey Hayward had an interception. Josh Lambo, 3 for 3 in his field goals. I believe one of them was blocked in this game, though. Andrew Luck for the Indianapolis Colts. 24 of 37, 331 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Frank Gore, 21 of 82, 3.9 yards per rush, a touchdown. Robert Turbin, 4 for 9. He also had a touchdown. T.Y. Hilton, 8 receptions, 174 yards, a touchdown. Jack Doyle, 6 for 65. Mike Adams, DeQuell Jackson, Kendall Langford all recovered the fumbles. Andrew Luck fumbled, lost one, and recovered a fumble. It's not, did you see that one? Frank Gore had a fumble. It was not lost. 2 sacks by Eric Walden, the only 2 sacks for the Indianapolis Colts. Nothing of note in the return games. Adam Vinatieri, 2 for 2 in his field goals. Big time win by the Indianapolis Colts as they try to move forward with their season, get things going. For the San Diego Chargers, again, a poor team. They are not finding ways to win. They had this game certainly not well in hand, but there was definitely potential for them to win this game, and they could not come away. They gave up a big pass play to T.Y. Hilton He broke a couple tackles and then ran forever to score the touchdown, so that really hurt them. But one of the poor teams in the league, what I was expecting of the San Diego Chargers, so I'm really not at all surprised that they found a way to lose this game. The Kansas City Chiefs laid into the Jets. Very bad game by the Jets today. We'll start with Ryan Fitzpatrick, 20 of 44, 188 yards. No touchdowns, 6 interceptions, folks. You can't have that in the big leagues. 15 for 65 for Matt Forte in the rushing game. Bilal Powell, 4 for 30. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 3 for 22. They ran the ball just fine. 22 carries, 117 yards. Bilal Powell, their top receiver, 6 for 41. Quincy Enunwa, 4 for 37. Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall really shut down. 1 for 31 for Decker, 3 for 27 for Marshall. Marcus Peters, we'll get into him in a little bit. Bilal Powell, Jalen Marshall both lost the fumble. Ryan Fitzpatrick recovered a fumble. The team did have 2 sacks, but they were both split sacks. Leonard Williams had a half sack. Jalen Marshall, 3 kick returns for 82 yards. Quincy Enunwa, 1 for 54 yards. Nick Folk, 1 for 1 in his field goals. Alex Smith, 25 of 33, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. The efficient game you expect from Alex Smith. Spencer Ware, 20 carries, 75 yards. Altogether, 27 of 72 in the running department. Travis Kelce, Alex Smith loves him, 6 receptions, 89 yards. Chris Conley, 3 for 34. 3 for 44. Jeremy Maclin, 4 for 35. Eric Murray recovered a fumble. Spencer Ware lost a fumble. Demetrius Harris also recovered a fumble. No sacks for the Kansas City Chiefs. Marcus Peters, 2 interceptions. Derek Johnson had an interception. He returned 55 yards for a touchdown. Eric Berry, Daniel Sorensen, and DJ White also had interceptions. Cairo Santos made his only field goal. Marcus Peters completely shut down the Jets' passing game. This guy is rising up as one of the better, if not the best, cornerbacks in the league, and I'm looking for him to be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. He's been sensational ever since he's come in the league. For the New York Jets, Ryan Fitzpatrick was very good against the Buffalo Bills. He wasn't great nor terrible against the Bengals, but this is the game of a Ryan Fitzpatrick of old, and, it's something that has to be addressed. 6 interceptions is just not acceptable in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles crushing the Pittsburgh Steelers 34-3. For the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, 24 of 54. 257 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. D'Angelo Williams, 8 carries, 21 yards. Ben Roethlisberger, 1 for 7. The team altogether 10 carries, 29 yards. That's a 2.9 yards per rush. They had to abandon the run because they were getting hammered in this game. Antonio Brown, 12 receptions, 140 yards. But like we said, a lot of passing when you get down like that. They were down after 3 quarters, 34-3. There was no score in the 4th. Ben Roethlisberger fumbled twice, lost one of them. 0 sacks for the Steelers, 0 interceptions. And Chris Boswell was 1 for 2 in his field goals. Carson Wentz, a guy I thought who was going to struggle in this game against a quality defense, 23 of 31, 301 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I'm eating some crow on Carson Wentz with this one. Hats off to him. Wendell Smallwood, 17 carries, 79 yards, 4.6 yards per rush. Kenjon Barner, 8 for 42. Both of them had a touchdown. Altogether, 30 carries, 125 yards, 4.2 yards per rush. 2 touchdowns. Darren Sproles out of the backfield, 6 for 128. Had a touchdown. This is in the receiving he did out of the backfield. Brent Selleck, 3 for 61. If a running back can get receiving yards like that, it's certainly going to help a young quarterback. Brandon Graham recovered a fumble. Carson Wentz fumbled and recovered it. 4 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles. Fletcher Cox had 2 of them. Very good for him. He's one of the better players at the defensive tackle position. Rodney McLeod had an interception. Caleb Sturgis, 2 for 2 in his field goals. So, what I think was making the biggest difference for the Philadelphia Eagles this year is that their defense is not put in as many compromising situations as they had been with Chip Kelly as the head coach. Of course, Carson Wentz is playing great for a rookie. That's part of it, but I think the biggest thing is their defense, and they're controlling the clock and managing the clock a lot better, and that's really helping them. Alright, so that is it as far as this Tampa Bay Los Angeles game. I'm not sure what the situation is. It is still looked at as delayed right now. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with that. Maybe give a note on that when the Cowboys and the Chicago Bears goes final. I don't know if I will do the recap of that tonight or posted tomorrow morning. We'll have to see. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and whatever news comes across with the Rams and the Buccaneers, we will let you know. So enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your weekend. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions, and we will see you either later tonight or tomorrow. Thank you all so much, and have a good one.